Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about the correct price for an Adventure League supplement that is 100 pages plus quality. Okay? Now, what is the so I'm not going to bury the lead here. What is the correct price for a 100 plus page quality supplement for Dungeons & Dragons Adventure League? Here you go. $0. $0. Right now, why am I talking about this today, and why do I have the opinion that I have? All right, so, and actually I should say, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so DM's Guild is this new, it just came out last year. It's this new addition to Dungeons & Dragons. It's an area where people can create 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons content, and they can sell it online. Right? There's a lot of people who have gotten very excited about it, and there's a lot of content that's being sold on that specific website, right? Which is great. I think that's cool, man. That's, I think it's good that there's a place to distribute that content. I'm not sure. I think it's a good thing that it's a market, like where actual dollars and cents are exchanged. So let's talk about it, right? So why do I feel the way I do? So this entire subject is coming from Alpha Stream, okay, who is a Twitter. Alpha Stream is a Twitter participant, someone who tweets on Twitter, and Twitterer, right? And Alpha Stream is also specifically a Dungeons & Dragons freelance writer, okay? And so one of the tweets I read last night was Alpha Stream showing a picture from a page from another article with an unnamed freelancer saying, there were a lot of weeks where I worked 100 hours in a week, and there were times where I was up for 30 hours in a row, and I do these all-nighters, and and it was, I lost friends, and my family was hurt, and it was a pretty sad situation, right? They're like, oh, that's not healthy, it's like grunt, it's like a sweatshop or something, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of odd. And then, so that was the picture. And then below it, Alpha Stream is saying, hey, in order for our hobby to be healthy, this needs to change. And I was thinking, no, that doesn't need, well, one, yes, absolutely. We need a situation where absolutely that needs to change. We don't need freelancers for any tabletop role-playing game, Dungeons & Dragons, or any tabletop role-playing game, working 100 hours a week, working 30-hour days. That's insane, right? That is absolutely not healthy, right? But that's not healthy for those individuals. It's not an issue of the tabletop role-playing game industry, right? And the reason why, and actually I shouldn't say right, I need to prove that point. That's an extenuated point, and so let me explain it, right? So, I also want to throw in here, Fresh Rad Games had also jumped in and had left a comment on Alpha Stream's Twitter, and Fresh Rad Games, I bounced over there, and Fresh Rad Games had another post saying, everyone needs to buy in, that there's going to be a decent price, like $15 for 100 plus game, 100 plus quality D&D supplement, and if we don't get this, we're going to have, and actually his supposition, or her supposition, sorry, I'm not sure if Fresh Rad Games is what gender, sorry. Anyway, so Fresh Rad Games' supposition was that if we don't, if you don't get $15 per, you're not going to have a living wage. Now, I'll grant that. I'll right now in DM's Guild, there's a race to the bottom, and there's incredibly low prices for quality content, right? And the reason, and there's a lot of reasons why for that, and so they're saying, hey, if freelancers are going to be able to make a living wage and work a decent amount of, work a reasonable amount of time, this is what it's going to take, for everybody. And first, I have an MBA, I have a master's in business administration, specifically technology management, and the moment I heard everybody needs to buy in to determine what the correct price is, I'm like, wait, that sounds a lot like price fixing, and I think the only reason, now Fresh Rad Games, I don't think there's some conspiracy to corrupt the tabletop role-playing game industry here. I think it was just they're forgetting, even though tabletop role-playing game industries are a small industry, price fixing is still a thing. That's still highly illegal, right? You can't do that, right? It's ridiculous. You cannot do that, right? And sometimes people get into conversations online. You get rolling with an idea or whatever. You say something that you might not have meant, right? And so I don't really think Fresh Rad Games was saying we need to do price fixing, but I think that their desire for a world where some dude can, some person can just scribble out their thoughts on a D&D adventure and make a living wage is so high that the suggestion actually did turn out to be price fixing, right? Which is pretty crazy. Like, it's, so here's my take, right? Here's why you should pay $0 for $100 plus page quality supplement for Dungeons and Dragons. The reason why is it's completely unnecessary. That product is completely unneeded. No one needs it. Okay, so that's just one reason. I'm going to give a few others. So both Fresh Rad Games and Alpha Stream, I think they're either not aware or they're kind of putting on their rose-colored glasses to not see two very important facts, right? So one, the tabletop role-playing game industry, we know the size of it, okay? Last year, ICV2 said the entire size of the tabletop role-playing game industry for 1 year is $35 million. What? That is crazy small. So small. Now, Lewis Porter Jr., he's an incredible tabletop role-playing game freelancer, one of the best in the business, right? And he's going beyond freelance. He has his own small company, but it's a part-time company. It's like, and he creates his own stuff, Lewis Porter Jr. Design Studios. And you got this situation where but he brought this forward last year, and he said, he brought forward the article, he was talking about it, and ICV2's valuation of the tabletop role-playing game industry, and he's like, I think that's low, right? Let's double it, 70 million, right? Let's say it's even 70 million. That is a ridiculously low market. That is an incredibly small market per year, right? That is a niche market if there ever was one, right? And so you cannot forget that number, man. Like, this tabletop role-playing game industry cannot support freelancers as a full-time job. And I have a lot, and I will point you to a lot of people that can prove this in that. The biggest one is Ryan Macklin. Ryan Macklin, another brilliant tabletop role-playing game freelancer. Actually, he did freelance work for years and years and years, and you can go back and you can look on his personal blog and see the entire history of probably 300 individual tabletop role-playing game freelancers who had the same experience, if not a very similar experience to him, which was work hard, produce quality work, get paid very little. Then actually your ideas are appreciated. You get pulled into the fold, and you get kind of a full-time gig or close to a full-time gig. Ryan Macklin got a full-time gig with Paizo, Pathfinder world. That lasted a year or two, and then he bounced out again and went right back to doing actual tech job work, right? And the reason why is, doing work that nobody likes will make 2-3 times what people like. That's the other thing. And so that's the reality is Ryan Macklin is a brilliant guy. He struggled for years to make it as a professional and could not do it. And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find somebody who's smarter and harder working than Ryan Macklin generally. You might find an exception here and there, but at the market level, if you're talking about the position and not individuals, he's a really good example, and he did everything right, in my opinion, and still couldn't make it as a pro, as a freelancer. And the reason why is it's very simple. It's $70 million, $35 to $70 million market cannot support full-time people anywhere but in the largest companies. And the largest companies in tabletop role-playing games are Wizards of the Coast, Fantasy Flight Games, Modifius, Evil Hat, and I don't think there's any other ones. And Paizo, if I didn't mention Paizo. And actually, even Paizo's on the line now, right? And every single one of those companies, except for Wizards of the Coast, that, on a week-to-week basis, they might be, I think a lot of those guys are beyond, a lot of those specific companies are beyond going out of business on a week or a month basis, but year to year, you're rolling the dice, right? And so if you are not a full-time employee of those people, not a freelance, you should not expect to make, to make a living wage as a freelancer. And here's another reason why. This is another thing I think Alpha Stream and Fresh Ride Games are not taking into perspective, okay? And that is, when you say, I want to make a living wage as a tabletop role-playing game freelance writer, right? What you're really saying is, I want to make a living as a roller coaster rider. I want to just go, to the amusement park and ride the roller coaster and get paid a living wage for that. Right? Well, here's the problem, right? There's no job where it's your job to ride a roller coaster, right? And the reason why is it's fun. It's super, 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 super fun, right? So creating Dungeons and Dragons tabletop role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons supplements, right? Which is incredibly fun, right? And it's actually the fun that the game masters are supposed to be having to get ready for their game, right? So that's just it. I get that you have some ideas in your head about dragons and dungeons and NPCs and locations and all this cool stuff, right? Well, write that stuff and put it into your game. Don't expect anybody to pay you for that. You're just having the same fun that any game master would have, right? And so that's my issue is, saying that people should be paying $15 for a 100-page supplement, in my opinion, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the size of the tabletop role-playing game market, the fact that the work is ridiculously fun, the fact that tabletop role-playing game industry is already incredibly saturated with content. It really is. And creators, right? It's just so saturated right now. There is no need for, if you did not publish another supplement for Dungeons and Dragons in 2018, absolutely no one would be suffering from a shortage of supplements for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Absolutely no one. The other, so that's just it is, this is all a fundamental misunderstanding. And so I really feel like those, if you're creating a 100-page supplement for tabletop role-playing games, just give it away for free. And the reason why is the product you are creating, no one actually needs, right? And the reason why is the structure of the game itself. If you look in the Dungeon Master Guide, there's lots of fun, super fun, fast ways to create compelling, awesome tabletop role-playing game adventures on the fly. There's guys like Lazy DM out there who will tell you how to run games on extremely little prep. And the reality is, there are not only are there just hundreds, well over 1,000. There might be over 10,000 available supplements, right? That are just super easy to run, and and are solid content that what you're trying to sell, there's no need for it, right? The supply clearly outstrips the demand. That's my take on the value of supplements for D&D that are over 100 pages long, for Adventure League, that are over 100 pages long, that should be used. That's my take. Take care.